I, 41M, met my wife, 38F, 15 years ago, and we instantly fell in love. After 4 years, we got married, and we have a 7-year-old son. For the last couple years, my wife showed signs of unhappiness, but we always tried to solve our problems. After she became a mother, she quit working and focused on our son. During summers, she would go to her hometown by the sea, live with her parents, as summers in our city was not easy. As years passed, this started becoming an issue as I would see my son less and less. It was not easy to travel all the time. After last summer, she became more vocal about our problems, but I couldn't understand. We always tried to solve the issues, but this time it seemed she didn't want to solve these issues. She started big fights in front of our son, and she started saying she wanted a divorce. At the same time, she started telling lies about her location. She started coming home late. She put a password to her phone. In first week of December, she started divorce proceedings without informing me and got a restraining order for me with the assistance of a lawyer. I never hit her or threatened her. There was no real reason for such a restraining order. But our laws allow any woman to get these orders without any solid evidence. So I started staying with my brother and I found a lawyer as well. As per laws, I had about 6 weeks to reply to my wife's first petition. While all these happened, I was asking my son some questions about her mother, where they went, who they met, etc. Some of the answers included his best friend's father, but I never put any meaning to this as his wife was my wife's, basically best friend, and the restaurant they met was a place we went frequently together. And the guy knew the restaurant, the owner, the waiters pretty well, so I thought it was a coincidence. Such coincidences had happened in the past as well. At the same time, this guy together with his wife and their son had come to our house. We went to holidays together, and he knew me quite well. We even went drinking, just 2 of us, for a number of times. So, it was not suspicious for me. After she filed for divorce, I started looking for ways to find what she was up to. She stopped telling me where she was, what she did. She would ignore my calls and messages occasionally. For a couple times, I went to the street of our home, and the lights were off. My son's tablet was connected to my account, and I would see his location, but it was always home or offline or a few places I knew. It didn't have a SIM card, but one evening it showed a location unknown to me. The neighborhood only had bars and restaurants, so I directly went there and started looking inside the restaurants from outside EUR. And I saw them. My wife, my son, and the father of my son's best friend. I didn't go inside and I directly called my brother. He asked me to remain calm, take pictures, and watch them from a distance. I did just that. Before this event, I had asked my wife to have a lunch with me to discuss stuff. I wanted to solve or understand the issues during this lunch. I decided to go with the plan in any event. So we met. We had lunch. She was quite strict. She didn't want to reunite. When we were leaving, she went to WC and left her bag with me. I checked her phone, and guy's name was saved as his name, I was sure. As I had realized what was going on, I started looking for more evidence, and I found. He once picked my wife and my son with a cab from our home. They went to at least one hotel together with my son. I had shared this information with my lawyers. They made their investigation as well and confirmed this affair. In about 3 weeks, my lawyer called her lawyer and said that we had learned about the affair. Before this, my wife insulted me and my family every day. She would ask me to spend time with our son, as she wanted to spend time with her lover. Her requests on her divorce petition were enormous. She wanted me to pay the rent, all utilities, gas for her car, all expenses of our son, and an enormous amount of alimony, approx twice the minimum wage in addition to all these. Following the call, she stopped talking to me for a few days. I guess she was embarrassed to talk to me. 6 days later, she sent a message saying that our son was in hospital. I called her, but didn't speak anything about the affair at first. After a few days, she said she wanted to talk to me. We met. She directly said she was sorry and that she didn't want to divorce. She said there was nothing between them. I gave her some clues about the evidence I had, so she had nothing to say. She said she would withdraw the case. In 2 days, she did. At the same time, she went to her hometown again. In a month's time, she didn't talk to me in general, except topics our son. I went to that city, talked to her, said I wanted a divorce and gave her my conditions, but she threw her coffee to me and left. After she left, I called the guy and started shouting at him. Just at that moment, my wife's brother was walking in front of the coffee shop. He came and asked me why I shouted. I told him his sister was having an affair. He said he knew. I talked to my wife's father, together with my brother-in-law, without telling him about the affair, and said it was his daughter's fault, but they couldn't convince her to return. After a few days, I called her father and told everything about the affair. He is an angry guy and kicked her out, so she came back home with her mother. Although the restraining order was over, I still stayed at my brother. 4 days later, I picked my son and went to see a football game. During the game, her mother sent a message to me saying she was going back to her hometown, and that had nothing to do with me. Her daughter didn't get a lesson. I called her, and she confirmed she was gone. When I was going back to deliver our son, my wife called and said she was going to her mother's cousin together with her mother, and that they would stay there that night. I told her that her mother was gone. She was quite furious. Following this, I started staying at home again. She found a job. We found a nanny for our son. For a few weeks we were okay. We even kissed each other and hugged, but 3 weeks later, I got fired due to a lack of concentration. As this was caused by the divorce and the affair, I got very angry and kicked her out of home. She started staying at the nanny's house, which was 5 minutes away, but she also came to our home almost every day. After about 5 days, I saw messages on her phone between her and her lover. She found a place to stay, but her salary was quite low, and it was not enough to pay her salary and other expenses at all. During these times, she could pick up our son whenever she wanted, and he stayed at her during weekends mostly. By the way, I need to tell about the wife of her lover. They got divorced, but they lived together for a while. One day, I saw her in front of our son's school, and I found out that she knew about the affair as well. She learned the affair following their divorce. She called my wife, but she didn't answer. She kicked her ex-husband out of home. She told me she was suspicious before the divorce, but she didn't do anything as she wanted the divorce for the last few years. She told me about some of her suspicions, and I checked they were correct. 2 months later, my wife took our son but didn't answer my calls during the weekend, and on Monday, she blocked me. I couldn't reach her, but I learned she went back to her hometown. She filed for divorce again, but due to laws, she couldn't use any of the reasons, allegations, or events from the first suit. So she had nothing to say against me. It was just that she didn't love me anymore and didn't want to stay married. I filed a countersuit with infidelity allegations. Note that a romantic affair and an affair involving sex do not have the same consequences under our laws. For 4 months, I couldn't see my son. At this moment, we are still looking at an 18-month-long suit for divorce. She now says she will pay all the compensation I want for divorce. Next story, story 2. This is the most messed up situation I've ever encountered in my entire life. The story is long, but I'll do my best to keep it interesting for the readers in hopes I get some helpful tips on how to deal with this. It's been extremely difficult getting past this breakup. I trusted this girl with every fiber of my being. I never imagined her doing something so horrendous, but she did. Compulsively lied and manipulated me to enormous lengths. I don't know how to trust anymore. I'll start with some context on the relationship and get into what happened after. Context. We dated for 3.5 years, tilde 1 year living together under my parents' roof, then tilde 6 months together in a condo I bought. First and foremost, coming into this relationship, I'm looking for the one. I've read tons of relationship and personal growth books, listened to podcasts, daily journaling, etc. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm pretty emotionally aware and knew what I was looking for. When I first met her, it was so easy, a match made in heaven. She was equally emotionally mature, into a lot of the same hobbies, activities. We looked amazing together. Before you know it, we're dating, but dating with true intentions to better understand and know each other on a deeper level. Even meeting her parents was supposedly a huge deal because she wasn't going to intro anyone to them unless she thought they've got potential to be the one. Long story short, we built a life together. I've supported her through her education and career development of becoming a cop, which she accomplished. Vice versa, she was always extremely understanding and supportive to whatever I needed. She always went the extra mile. Only challenge was when if we fought. We were both stubborn in wanting to be right. Her attachment was more anxious, mine more avoidant, so things would blow out of proportion easily. This led to therapy sessions to work on our communication skills, because at this point, We've agreed that we want to live long and happy lives together. Eventually married, kids, the whole thing. The story. Fast forward to the event. Again, it's the most messed up thing I've ever encountered in my entire life. It has now been 3 weeks since the breakup, and I'm still in shambles due to disbelief in how vile and inhumane this girl is. As mentioned, she's a cop and has been for approximately 1 year, has worked very hard to get there. I'm sure you've seen enough shows and movies to know about the platoon mate camaraderie, drinking, cheating, and abuse. Well, their Christmas event at a local bar in our hometown is happening, an event where you typically bring your significant other. 2 weeks prior, she and I had a bad fight where she went into work sobbing and crying. Her platoon mates are there to support her, and I'm, of course, the bad guy. Up until the night before the event, I assumed I would be going, but she mentions it's probably best I don't go to avoid awkwardness and tension with her platoon mates from the fight we had. Okay, that hurts. But I understand, I guess. So I offer to pick her and a platoon mate, female, up when they're done at the event, hoping the nice gesture gains some kind of respect from her platoon mates. She decides to pre-drink at my condo with her girlfriend who's on the platoon. I let them have the place to themselves, and I stayed at my parents' until they were ready to be picked up, which was supposedly going to be approximately 11:15, 11:30, 9:30. I check in to see how things are going. No reply. 10:30. I check in to see how things are going. No reply. 11:15. I check in to see how things are going. Still haven't heard anything. I get a response. Hey baby, where are you? Then she sends her active location over. I'm confused because she was supposed to keep me in the loop. I text. I call. No response. But I can see on the map she's headed back to my condo. At first I thought maybe she just got way too intoxicated and decided to Uber with her female platoon mate back. The luring. So I packed up and left to go back to my condo. Pissed because I stayed up late to pick them up, and she pulled this stunt, but decided I'm not going to be upset about it. At this point, I can at least see that she's been at the condo for 1-2 minutes, and I'm about to pull up. I get back to the condo and try to unlock my door. As I'm unlocking, GF comes out and into the hallway. OMGHH baby, where were you? Are you okay? I'm totally confused. What are you talking about? I was supposed to pick you guys up, tried calling, texting, heard nothing from you? Something definitely seemed off, but she said she's feeling pretty crunk and asked if we could go for a walk. Confused, I said that's fine. We're walking through the condo lobby, and she needed to use the washroom. Still feeling like something was off, I go into the handicap washroom with her. While going #1, she's mentioned, "Oh, I'm hungry. Can we go get food?" At this point, something seriously seemed off, like she was trying to lure me away. So I respond with, No, don't worry, I will make you food. This might sound insecure, but it seems like you're trying to keep me away from the condo. Is someone up there? Is something going on? With absolutely no hesitation on her end, No, baby. 100% you have nothing to worry about. I would never do something like that. Okay, fine, I trust you. Let's go back to the condo, please. This girl still tries to lure me away by saying she needs fresh air and goes out the back lobby door. I don't put up with it and say, please just come back to the condo. I'm exhausted. I'll make you food, get you water, etc. etc. The abomination. I open up the front door and what do I see? As clear as day, a pair of men's shoes that aren't mine. I'm asking her what is going on. Lie-1, it's her girlfriend's shoes. Lie-2, her girlfriend's boyfriend's shoes. Lie-3, another fake story about why those shoes are there. I don't fall for any of it, noticing the bathroom door is closed. I go over to the door and guess what? It's locked. Yup, someone's in my condo, in my bathroom. I'm smashing the door with my fist, telling him to get out. Not a peep, not a word, nothing on his end, no communication. My GF is trying to get me to calm down. Tells me it's not what it looks like. Proceeds with 1, 2, 3 more lies until she finally said a platoon mate, male, let's just call him Jimbo, dropped her off. At that point, I can connect the dots and see exactly what's going on. I told her we're through. I will never see nor speak to her again. I'm leaving with a night bag, but when I come back tomorrow, better make sure you're not be here and all your stuff's gone. She's begging, pleading, continuing to say it's not what it looks like. Even follows me to my car and won't leave me alone. This is where I threaten, don't make me call the cops to get you to leave me alone. I want nothing to do with you. After telling her 5, 6 times, I had to call the cops to get her away from me. Cops come, I get my phone back, check the unit to make sure that guy is gone. He is, thank God. Got my stuff, and left to go to my parents thinking I'll never see her again. You'd think this might be the end of the story. Nope, it gets worse. It gets worse. So I get to my parents at 2:30 to 3 a.m., hop in the shower, try to process what just happened. 3 minutes into my shower, the bathroom door opens and I assume it's my parents checking in. Nope, it's my GF sobbing, trying to tell me it's not what it looked like and wanting to talk. She literally Ubered to my parents after all that. I'm in complete disbelief, thinking I need to get a restraining order to keep her away from me. I get out of the shower and am so exhausted, telling her 30, 40 times I want nothing to do with her, and I will not believe her for a second after all the lying, manipulating, and luring she did. She just won't take no for an answer, continues to say, "It's not what it looked like. Please just talk and hear me out. Please just come to bed and let's sleep it off." Eventually, I just give in because I'm exhausted and can't take it anymore. She even had the nerve to cuddle up on me. Next day, huge conversation about the whole thing. She has this whole story about, "Oh, he just wanted to make sure I made it back to the unit. Okay, because I was so intoxicated. Then asked for a glass of water and wanted to use the washroom before dropping 2 other platoon mates off, who were supposedly still waiting in his car." She continues to go to lengths of, "I'm Christian. I have morals and values. I would never do anything like this to you. I see you as the father of my future children, us getting married and being together forever." She'll separate work events completely and never go to another one again, etc., etc. This makes me feel a tiny bit better, but I told her she has a lot of work to do, building up my trust again. Seriously? It gets worse? Yup. The next morning, she forgets her personal phone and went off to her day shift. Called me through her work cell to ask if I could bring it down for her. She's turning around to come back and get it. I get an urge to quickly Google how to recover recently deleted text messages. Check her recently deleted, and what do I find? 1,400 deleted messages between her and said platoon mate, male, Jimbo, FYI. I'm already aware this guy is into her because she mentioned earlier this year he tried to ask her out but stopped him in his tracks. I'm dying inside. Only have 20 seconds to look. First text I see from the work event, my GF to Jimbo. "Tequila shots at the bar, babe? This one's on me." By the time I read that message, she's already at the condo calling me to see where I'm at. So I bring it down, saying absolutely nothing. I go back up to my unit. I'm devastated. Every minute feels like an hour, knowing that she's potentially lying about everything. But I manage to keep it together for the rest of the day. Eventually, she comes home from work. I keep calm, cool, and collected, pretending everything's normal, and wait till she falls asleep. Once she fell asleep, grabbed her phone and locked myself in the washroom, and I'm absolutely horrified. The 1,400 recently deleted texts are still there, and it's exactly what it looked like. Her entire story about what happened was lies. She had been texting this guy ever since we moved in together at the condo. More nonchalant at first, but progressively could see my GF get more and more flirtatious. She came up with a completely fictitious life about herself, being broken up with me for a few months, endless other stuff in attempts to make her look like wifey material. Once again, all lies. It took me tilde 1 hour to get through all of the texts. She wakes up and comes out to check on me, asking where her phone is. I take this opportunity to see if she'll still lie. "I have your phone and am going through it, but before I do, would you mind telling me if there's anything I need to know?" I've already seen all 1,400 messages at this point, but not surprisingly, she responds with, No, baby, I would never do anything, it's totally fine." Okay, so you weren't talking to him? Weren't texting him? No, you've got nothing to worry about. I could never do that to you. At this point, I completely lost it on her for 20 minutes straight, and she just sat there and took it. I mean, I was in a full-out rage. Said she's been living 2 separate lives for a long time, and this was her land of make-believe. The end. So here I am, absolutely devastated. 3 weeks has passed and I've deleted every memory, blocked her off everything, packed all her stuff and dropped it off at her parents'. Haven't said a word to her. She sends this long email explaining about how this is all related to her PTSD from work and the traumatic events, blah, blah, blah. even saying she will do anything to win my love and trust back. Obviously, I'll never get back with her, can't give her another opportunity to tear me to pieces again. I don't know how I'll ever trust someone again. Feels like my mental health is completely obliterated. Does she have multiple personality disorder or something? This girl sincerely believed every lie she was telling me. It was so terrible. Next story, story 3. Hi everyone. This is my first post ever on Reddit, but I'm not really on social medias. I recently sacrificed most of my social relationships to only keep my productive ones, and I need to get this off my chest. This story began 5 years ago. If you are not interested about the long story, skip to the here. I was still at school, and my ex, 19F, and me, 20M, met there. She was arriving during the year and was in a group of people when I approached her. She had a good figure and a very innocent-looking face. Long story short, we end up kissing and get together. She told me she was a virgin, and for once I was willing to do things right with her, so we really took her time, and I gave her the best first time I could after about 6 months of being together. Trust me, she'll remember that one for a long geeking time. Something got my attention when she climaxed as she screamed, "OMG, this guy." Like if she have had other partners to compare it to, which seemed fishy, but I was younger, in love, and happy, so I didn't think much of it. We were very happy for a couple years, but all of a sudden, she started being unresponsive when we were together, almost hiding herself in mutism when I asked what was wrong. And it really concerned me, as she used to tell me all about her problems. I even became like a psychologist to her, trying to make her feel good when her past came back to hit her in the face. I really did everything I could for this girl. Told her all about how strong she was for being able to overcome her past trauma. A lot of it came from her being abandoned, but also she was abused by people who were supposed to care for her when she needed guidance. So I wanted to know what's up, and I had the gut feeling something bad was about to happen. I wasn't wrong. This night she confessed to me how bad she felt, and as usual, I was trying to make her feel special in order to ease her wounds healing. We had wonderful shreks and went to sleep. I decided to go through her phone, sneakily used her asleep face to use the Face ID, and searched through her IG history. In the main section of her DM was nothing unusual, but in the hidden section, I don't recall what it's called as I'm not a social media person, I found only one person. I clicked and then I saw her, texting to who she later called one of her co-worker. The only thing I remember from the conversation was her casually asking, "Oh please, I want you to lift me up." I almost screamed in shock, but I kept it for the next day. It was hard for me to keep it quiet, but I was exhausted from our little session, and I ended up falling asleep, angry AF about 2 hours later. I confronted her the next day, and she got her phone out, admitting the guilt, surprising I know, but told me nothing had actually happened. She also told me he looked a lot like me, and that he blocked her as soon as she started making advances to him, and showed me proof of both of these statements. She also begged me to keep her, and I figured at the time I could let it slide since he completely neglected her and even blocked her. I lectured her on it, and the next week she was very touchy, very nurturing, and super smiley, maybe in an attempt to make me forget all about it and keep our relationship healthy. I forgot to mention she started working in parallel to her studies, and so did I. Around that time, I was just done with studies and started working full-time. I heard from a friend we had in common she had made friends that were very titchy and annoying, and he was reluctant to talk to her since. He felt like she had changed. Her friends were the kind of girls that paint their head in blue and hang out with men all the time. She had always struggled to make friends, so I thought nothing bad about it, and she even told me about her friends often, and I honestly was happy for her. It then happened. It was the end of last year, and we were together since 4 years or so. A random woman DM'd me on IG, but I straight up told her I wasn't interested and in a serious relationship. It was suspicious, as that teach was handling rejection like a champ. She kept going at me, telling me how handsome I was, and how she knew my girlfriend didn't deserve me. I washed her off for a couple days, but she was being too insistent that I finally accepted a coffee with her, making it very clear that nothing would happen. 5 minutes after, I had a call from my GF telling me it's all over. I was already suspecting something at the time, but I just said okay and hung up the phone, going about my day. It troubled me for the rest of the day, but I called her the exact same night, and she confessed her girlfriends and her had made up this story on a fake account on which they were all taking turns and talking with me. trying to prove to her how bad of a boyfriend I was. Call me stupid, but she came back crying again. I was in love. I let it slide, lecturing her heavily. The truth is, she broke my trust once again. From there, it was only downhill. You will love it. Here. 1 week later in January, she came ringing to my door unannounced. We never lived together 100%. At 8 a.m., telling me she spent the whole night out and was just raped. She was in a very bad state. I knew she went to a party the night before, so I called every friend I had to gather as much information on the perpetrator as possible. I never was as close to kill someone as I was this day. The friend who warned me about her blue-haired friends answered his phone, telling me he left early, but he saw her very close and flirting with a guy that fitted the exact description she made of the supposed perpetrator. I thanked him and told her to go to the police. I was agreeing to go with her, but she refused, kept crying, and tried to gaslight me and make excuses like, "They are not going to do anything anyways." I did not believe her. I knew her very well, and it all felt like some plot to justify her behavior and test me at the same time. So I very politely told her to get the duck out of my flat and decided to forget about her once and for all. I cried all the tears I had, unsure of what just had happened. If she lied on something this big, then it definitely wasn't the first time she lied. Then it all became clear. I remembered all the times where something felt off, like when she rang to my door or during her first time. I had no evidence, but it was enough to get me to stop crying and enter the second phase of mourning a couple days later. Anger. Anger was my most commonly felt feeling. So as usual, I solved it by going to the gym and even went living at my dad's for a couple days, which allowed me to process my mourning faster and get back to my celibate's life in my student flat. It didn't end that way, however, as she came back unannounced one day at 10 p.m. ringing. I thought it was my neighbor, as she needed help all the time for her hot water tank and was paying me for the service. So I opened with a smile, and there I saw her. My ex-girlfriend was at my door with 2 pizzas and a big smile. "Here's our conversation." Me. "What do you want?" Her. "I'm sorry." Me. "I don't want you here." Her. "I brought pizzas. We have things to say to each other. Both of us. We never talked since it happened." Me. "I'm not hungry." Her. "Please, I need to talk with you." Me. Asterisk, making room for her to come in asterisk tisk. Asterisk. We sat down on the bed, as I have a very small flat with only one bed, a kitchen, a TV, and a table in a room asterisk. Her. "I'm so sorry." Me. Asterisk, unresponsive asterisk. Her. Asterisk, starts to open the pizzas. Asterisk. Me. Asterisk. I keep watching the documentary on ancient Egypt I was watching before she arrived. Acting unfazed asterisk. Her asterisk. Unsure about what to do, she starts eating, smiling eagerly. Asterisk. You are not hungry? Me. I already told you that. If you have things to say, go ahead, but don't expect me to say anything back. Her. All right. I'm sorry I lied to you. About what happened at the party. I was drunk, and I wasn't really sure it had happened at the end, but I really love you, and you did nothing. Me. Asterisk, super angry and disappointed. Asterisk. You never drink. Stop lying, asked the friend. Told me what happened. He saw you flirting with him the same night. Her. Asterisk, unable to process. Starts to cry. Asterisk. I'm sorry. Goes on for an eternity. Me. If you are done, go. I don't ever want to see you ever again. Asterisk. I was still loving her, but the shame and pain feelings were too much for me to process, and as she wasn't leaving and I was about to cry, I eventually decided to stop feeling anything, and my mind went blank. I decided to focus back on the TV. Asterisk. Her. Can I have a last hug? I promise I will go after, so please let me hug you one last time. Asterisk. Me. Asterisk, wanting it to end ASAP. Asterisk, HM. Asterisk. It didn't mean anything, I just wanted it to end. Her. Asterisk, hugging me tight and trying to caress my back. Asterisk. Me. Asterisk, uncomfortable, not moving, fidgeting when she tried to caress my back. Asterisk. Her. There is something I want to ask you. Before I go. Asterisk, hesitates. Asterisk. Me. HM. Her. Can we make love one last time, please? This was the end of our conversation. My mind went numb from all of this. I suddenly wanted payback and figured, yeah, duck it. Let's do it one last time. Since we're at it. Call me an asterisk shoal or whatever. She started undressing immediately after I started touching her hips. Then she tried to kiss me, but I was reluctant to do it, so I grabbed her by her neck and pushed her. Then I undressed as well. Needless to say, I treated her like meat and even enjoyed insulting her in the process. I broke her back and knees that night like I never did to anyone, and somehow I was the one that lifted her up at the end. I'm sure nobody did it with such energy, and it somehow eased my pain. Then I kicked her out. I had blocked her from everywhere already, so I never talked to her again. I was not able to recognize myself after what I did. She kept sending me messages for a couple weeks, but I never responded as I knew it wouldn't only make things worse. Voila, it's the end of the story. It's been more than 6 months. I'm still in the accepting phase of mourning, but I keep going to the gym and seeing how friends could influence one's life. I started making room in my friends list and only kept the productive, hard-working, trustworthy friends around me. I recently realized I need to heal from her trauma. It was obviously more than one person could handle, and I realized what she shared with me, what I helped her heal from, was also waiting on me. It still is, and I haven't had Shreks with another woman for the last 6 months. A friend of mine tried to come out with her feelings when I broke up with my ex, including one of my other ex. But I'm trying to heal and better myself first. I think I need to show up to the next one with clarity, protection, and love. I wouldn't be able to do so right now, but I'm living my best life. I hope you enjoyed my story. If you are still reading this mess, I have to thank you for your time. If you have any question, suggestion, or advice, don't hesitate to ask, as I think I will read answers for a couple days. Not too into social media once again, but I might start to like Reddit now that I started using it. Who knows? Oh, and also forgive my mistakes. English isn't my native language. Peace.